Welcome back to R2Kast number 45, or should I say, Morning Holly. Oh, look, there's wee Cammy. Today we have Crawford of Crawford's Farm. Crawford, if you want to say hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Before we get on into another excellent episode of the R2Kast, I would just like to thank the sponsor for the show today, The Scottish Farmer. A weekly magazine highlighting everything you need to know regarding the Scottish agricultural industry, whether it's breaking news, events happening in the sector, market reports, classified ads, or just wholesome stories happening in the industry. The Scottish Farmer's got it for you.
So one of Scotland's biggest farming YouTube, well, certainly biggest growing farming YouTubers, I think it would be fair to say. My mum and dad will be watching this at some point. We have some massive fans sitting and watching you at the minute, Crawford. They're massive fans from home. Could you tell us, before we get into sort of YouTube and Instagram life and all that sort of thing, could you tell us a bit about your home farm, what your background in farming is?
Yeah, right. So we're a mixed arable farm. Well, majority is actually arable. Put on cows and calves last year. That was the kind of thing I wanted to do. I came back to the farm last year after being at uni. We've also got a farm shop on the farm, which it's arguably bigger than the farm now, but it's been open kind of 20 years. That's run by my mum, dad, my brother, and I'm semi-involved in that, but mostly the farm. So that's about us.
The farm shop, what's it called? Maybe if anyone's listening.
Gloagburn Farm Shop.
Gloagburn. And is that just everything that's, are you selling stuff produced on the farm and otherwise as well?
Yeah, so it's the farm shop's kind of split into cafe restaurant area and then the shopping department, which has got gift area, booze area. We opened a butchery about 2.5-3 years ago now, and that's producing beef, lamb, pork, whatever, and deli area, veg area. So yeah, it's that a lot of home produce. We try to focus on that as well, like some porridge oats, all our beef, obviously, bits and bobs.
And that's just run by your family, no one else, or is there other staff members?
Yeah. No, sorry. There's a lot of staff members. I'm forgetting they exist. But yeah, it's managed then by mum, dad, and my brother. And then I think there's probably, I couldn't tell you the split between full time and part time, but there's maybe about 40 or 50 staff.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it's how long has it been open? It's coming up 20 years. It's been open now, so that's helped. That's helped grow the farm. If anything, it's diversified the farm, but allowed the farm then to grow on the back of that, which I'm thankful for coming into the farm, obviously.
So do you not think, had the farm shop been there, yourself and your brother would have been able to come back and work full time on the farm?
Well, my brother's not really. He's not interested. He's not interested in the farm, but he's solely in the shop. He has nothing to do with the farm, and then I'm kind of mostly on the farm. But yeah, if the shop didn't exist, would there be space for the two of us? Within reason, yes, just about. But now the farm's been able to grow. There's definitely space for us. There's a lot of opportunity as well.
Yeah. And you said booze. Is that pub or is that off license?
Oh, booze. No, just like wines, beers, whatnot. I wish there was a pub actually. It'd be good.
Well, I feel that's something you've got to try and push now, is it not?
Yeah, I know I should. Well, we're just extending the car park. Just as this week, we started making a new car park, and I put in one of the YouTube videos asking people to guess what the project was, and some of the guesses were start a bar, open a bar.
I like your viewers. That sounds like that does. Could you just tell, for those the folk listening, where it is exactly you're based?
Yeah, so we're kind of just right in the middle of Scotland. We're northeast, southwest, 2 or 3 miles west of Perth.
Right.
Broxden round about 2 miles from there.
Grand. Well, gonna have to check it out when you're ever passing by. You talked about it being arable and cattle. Is the only livestock cattle? Yep.
We've got free range hens, so that's kind of the basis of where the farm shop started. So my brother Fergus, when he was at school, he wanted some hens, and he had, I don't know, he obviously just started with a small number. He's 10 years older than me. Right. He started with a small number of hens in about 2002, 2001. and we'd sell them from the garage. He'd sell them from the garage or take them to school and sell them to teachers and parents or whatever. And on the back of that, Mum would make jams and chutneys and whatnot, sell them at the garage. And then Mum said, I want a wee shop. So that was the next step, build a wee shop. And just since then, it's growing. There's never been a grand plan of where it's going next. It's just been, we'll build that wee bit. And then, okay, that bit's full, we'll add another bit onto it, add another bit. There's never been a grand plan, but it's just added on, and that's where it came from.
It sometimes works better sort of gradually. Oh, well, this is working, let's push that a bit. Oh, well, this is working,
Yeah.
And is that hens as layers or as meat?
Layers, yeah. So we've now got 4,500 free-range hens. Half of the eggs will go through the shop and either baking for the restaurant and cafe or just sold as eggs for customers. And then the other half get all delivered locally round about wee shops and spars and bits and bobs.
Yeah. What cattle is it you're running? Beef cattle, I take it, and what sort of breeds are you looking at there?
Yeah, so the beef cattle started with 20 last year, where we kind of ended up with a mix of everything and anything, because we just went to the market and it was like, well, let's get some of them. We have always had fattening store cattle on the farm. Dad's always had them. And then previous to Dad, my grandpa, he bred Aberdeen and Angus. So it has been within the farm, and my dad knows what he's talking about with cattle, but me and Dad didn't really have too much. We didn't have any knowledge on it, but we didn't have much experience in cows and calves. So first year we started with, they ended up mostly Simmentals, and then this year more Simmentals again. So we're up to 43, 44 cows and calves, majority Simmentals. We've got Charlie Bull and an Angus Bull. The Charlie Bull, we've had 1 year calves, and the Angus Bull is new, and I don't know how long he's going to last because he's an absolute nutcase. You get them.
Yeah. Is that? I take it you're calving. Well, you'll be finished calving at the minute. Sorry, I'm thinking.
Two left to go.
Two left to go. Yeah.
Two late ones that basically, because the farm's mainly arable, at harvest time when the bull should have been coming out, we just didn't even get a chance to take him out. So there was two late ones.
No, it happens. And just for those of you listening, this has been filmed mid-May. In case you're wondering, I think this will go out in July. I think that's a weird time to finish calving. What about the arable setup? Is that mainly barley or?
Yes, we kind of grow a bit of everything. Just rotation wise. So we grow winter crops, winter oats, winter barley, winter wheat, and oilseed rape as well. And then spring barley, spring oats. And then you split them again into some of the oats are for seed. All the oats are for seed, actually. Is that right? I think so. All the oats are for seed. Then barley, feed, malting, and seed barley. So yeah, there's a bit of everything, and we do let out some of the ground for potatoes, peas, or carrots just to help rotation wise.
You just cut off their peas,
potatoes, peas, and carrots.
Oh, okay, yeah. How have you found OSR from an established perspective?
We've found it all right. I think Scotland as a basis got a hold of the fact that you need to be sowing it early to kind of get away from cabbage stem flea beetle. I think England had issues. I think they were doing the opposite to us, leaving it really, really late to kind of let's get away from the cabbage stem flea beetle pressure and wait until they die down a bit and then sow it. And they just didn't really have much luck with that. Whereas I think most of Scotland we managed to get a hold of it and get it in early and established. And we're still managing. This year we've got one bad field, which is probably one of the worst ones we've had, but it's still not awful. And it's not due to cabbage stem flea beetle. It's actually club root in the field, which we should have tested for. So yeah, the rape's looking good, and the price of it is gone through the roof as well with the sunflower prices.
Yeah, well, that's it, and yeah, with it sounds bad to do well out of this whole Ukraine thing, but it's happening. You know, Is it not the biggest producer of sunflowers on the planet? I think.
Yeah, so I think of world exports, Ukraine produced 95% of world sunflower oil exports.
Oh wow! It's not just like they have like 20%, right? Yeah, okay.
I don't quote me on that, but I think that's right.
Yeah, so anything from anywhere else is going to fly. Is all of the arable produce apart from the feed stuff? Are you selling that? Is that all being sold?
Well, some of the seeds we keep obviously to resow again. What else do we keep ourselves? Some oats, which we that get milled and sold for porridge in the shop.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, it's all getting sold in various stages. We just last year managed to get a new shed put up, which is helping the fact that we don't need to sell it straight away, and we're a bit more flexible with how we store.
And how are you finding fertilizer?
Fertilizer, it's a tricky one. It seems awful. I wouldn't like to be in a position where we were totally all beef or all relying on the grass for the beef and things like that. Because we're mostly arable, it's not that bad for us because the price of the commodities right now, the wheat, the barley, the oats, it's fine. The risk is just massively increased. So if you have a bad field or you have a bad harvest, the production costs of everything and the value that's in the ground is so much higher. So there's a bigger risk in that way. You get a bigger kick when you have a bad year. But the margins, as of prices right now, the margins are fine.
Do you know roughly what those prices are sitting at? Or
yes, well, wheat, new crop wheat. So if you're selling at harvest time, you could probably sell today for $350. I think check today it was $352. Yeah, and I mean last harvest, I can't remember exactly, but maybe 180, 190. So
no, I was not expecting 350 when I worked in Essex. It was 107.
Yeah, exactly. So the commodity price is there, partly due to the war, which is kind of farming traditionally does well during times of war, which is a bit of a sad stat, but it's true, and you've kind of got to capitalize on it. So yeah, prices are fine, and they actually released new prices for fertilizer last week. So what was it? Ammonium nitrate, I think, peaked at about £950 a ton, and then last week they released it at 650. So that was quite a wee jump back, not masses, but better than expected. But there's I think there's not that much to be sold. Even though the price has been released at that, I don't think it means that very much.
So is it quite hard to source still?
Yeah, well, one of the guys who we sell rape to, I think that's who we're speaking to, they basically only got given 11 loads to sell, which is, for them, it'll be absolute peanuts. So the price is just going to go up again. So it's a bit of a, who knows what's going to happen with that.
And just for reference on that, about £170 up on wheat. You were saying ammonium nitrate peaked at was it 960? You said.
Yeah, around about there.
Yeah, and is now back at about 650. But let's say this time last year, what would you be paying for that?
Ammonium nitrate. I'm not actually that sure because we didn't use ammonium nitrate, but right. I'll compare it against urea. So urea is 46% nitrogen. Ammonium nitrate's 34%. It's the nitrogen that's the cost in it. So urea peaked at about £1,100 a ton. Last year, it started with a 2 anyway.
With a 2? Jesus. Yeah, I mean, that's... So I'm just writing down the figures there as you say it. You know, it's up just over double on your wheat price, and your urea's, let's even say it's 290, 3.5 times up. You know, and if it's 240, then that's 5 times up.
Yeah,
it's a worrying prospect, but it's that sort of level. I should probably just say, guys, if you're listening, I hope you're still listening. The oilseed rape, when we're talking about their establishment, that the flea beetle that Crawford had mentioned has caused major issues with establishment. It's just attacking the oilseed rape before establishment can even happen. To the point, and I think this is very interesting. I heard this on the Farmers Weekly Farming Podcast, which is another podcast I would definitely check out. I don't know how the Scottish Farmer will be happy with me saying that, but it's a very good podcast. And they were talking about KWS, who's one of the biggest sort of seed distributors in the country and Europe for that matter.
I'm wearing their hat at the moment.
Oh, there you are, perfect. Look at that. KWS, are you looking for a podcast to sponsor? They sort of offer this, and I don't know if this is still the case, Crawford, maybe you'll know, this sort of 50-50 offer where you can pay 50% for your seed and then the final 50% if it establishes, which is insane that they are showing that this is a problem. Now, that was 2020. That was the summer of 2020. I know they were talking about doing that, selling sort of into the winter crop come the end of the summertime. Is that still a thing? Are you aware of that, or is that?
I couldn't help you on that one. I'm not really sure. I don't think we grow any KWS rape. We grow KWS other stuff, but not any rape.
Brilliant advertisement. We're in it as we speak. You mentioned uni. What did you do at uni? Was that agriculture?
No, it was actually mechanical engineering. So I kind of came out of school. I wasn't planning on going to uni, but my mum said, you're going to uni. That's what she told me. You're going. So anyway, I went to uni, mechanical engineering, ended up doing a master's. I did my bachelor's and what do I do now? And everyone else was staying for a master's. So I was like, this is a good crack. I'll just keep going down the boozer. Anyway, ended up with a master's and I was applying to jobs. So this was basically at the very start of COVID. So I was applying to jobs. So the first issue was I wasn't getting the jobs. And the second issue, I was actually realizing I didn't want any of these jobs. And I've never really known exactly what I'm going to do next. Still don't know. So I ended up back here on the farm, and then that's that. And I'm here 2 years later. And yeah, I kind of realized I didn't want to. Although, yeah, I work technically for my dad, but it's not the same as working for a boss.
Yeah, no, it's different. And do you get on quite well with your old man?
Yeah, we get on fine. We get on absolutely fine. We probably have indifferences in some stuff, but we never like argue or anything like that. He has his opinion and I have my opinion, and then
for sure.
He's the boss, so he goes with his.
So yeah, you have your opinion, but they're never used. Yeah, no.
Well, it's probably the case of I'm coming in as the young gun, all guns firing, and thinking I've got all the best ideas, and then he's got all the experience. So probably 90% of the time knows better than I do, but 10% of the time I'll better him.
You'll cherish those ones. When you went away, when you were told, right, Crawford, you're going to uni. Did you ever see agriculture in your future at that point?
It was always an option. I kind of saw it as I'll go and do this, and I've always got that as a backup if things go wrong, if I don't want to do it, if whatever. So it was always there, and I'm probably in quite a fortunate position in that it was there. Lucky that I have that option. So, and then I just ended up falling back on that option.
Yeah. It's always interested me. I've said a few times that there's some of these jobs that when I was younger, I always remember thinking, oh my God, they're so cool. Veterinary was one, engineer was one. I mean, I can generally barely use glue or a hammer, but it always sort of struck me as this really cool job. What does that master's include? Is it project based? How does it go?
Yeah, well, I didn't even know going into it. I should have done more research, but I went for mechanical engineering because I thought, it's going to be practical, and I've always done better with practical things than reading a book. Typical farmer, I can't read a book. But yeah, it was just like equivalent, I felt, of doing a maths degree. It was just loads of maths and loads of numbers and loads of sums and calculations, and it's very different to what I thought it was going to be. that because it's got mechanic in it, I just associated with that bit. Whereas it's actually very much computer-based software, coding, sums, and maths. And yeah, it's not practical. If you're going into it thinking this is a practical degree, it's not.
No, I mean engineering's a science now, isn't it? It's It's for sure. With the sort we sort of touched upon the farm and what was there and stuff, but we never actually fully get into what size is the farm.
So we probably farm 1,300-ish acres, between some that is our own, some's tenanted, bits and bobs, and it's probably split. 80% of that we will have our own cereal crops, maybe 10 to 15%, no, maybe 10% will be let out to potatoes, peas, carrots, and then obviously a bit of grassland. So we lease out some grassland for sheep, other grassland we use for our own cattle. And we've got the hens. We've also just last year we put on a field of sunflowers.
Right.
So there's 13 acres this year of sunflowers.
And this year will be the first time you harvest sunflower?
No, second year. So it's not to harvest. It's as a part of the shop. So last year sowed these sunflowers and we cut a trail into it. I'd seen it been done. I'd seen it been done abroad, and then there's a guy you'll probably know of him, Ollie Harrison.
Yeah.
So he did it the year before last, because I didn't really think you could do it in the UK, let alone Scotland. So he'd done it down in England. I thought, all right, let's try it. So we went for that last year, and that kind of was a big success. So we're doing that again this year. We've got some interesting plans which are remaining secret.
Is that so? When you're saying for the shop, is it to sell the sunflowers, or is it as part of a maze, or is it a?
Yeah, so technically we call it a trail,
right.
But we had this 10-acre field. I went in with a quad bike with a wee sprayer in the back, sprayed a wee path. There's no crosses because the sunflowers are like 7 foot tall. Yeah. So if you get lost in a 10-acre field, you're done. We have to get the air ambulance to come and look for people later. But yeah, it's a trail roundabout. There was 2 trails in it. One which was just a long walk. There was nothing on the trail, just a nice peaceful walk. And the other trail had like games in it for kids, like it was jumbo Jenga and throw a horseshoe at a peg and things like that. And yeah, it was open for 4 weeks. And each week, the first weekend, we were like, oh, is there anyone going to come to this? Second weekend, oh, there's a few people coming. Third weekend, it was getting quite busy. Fourth weekend, we had to close down. It got too busy.
Really?
Yeah, it went absolutely mega. It was like you see on Clarkson's farm when the road was queued up, the crossroads were blocked. It was a bit soul destroying on the last day, on this Saturday. About 2:00, we made the decision we're going to have to close because it was just absolute carnage. The roads were blocked. So I had to go out onto the main road, walk down about, 100 cars maybe, and just say, look, I'm sorry, we're closed. It's gone totally out of hand. We're going to have to tell you to turn around and go home, basically, which was soul destroying because there was people like, oh, we've come from Inverness, we've come from Dumfries, we've come from Aberdeen. I was like, that was the trickiest bit of it all, but it had to be done.
So what's the plans for this year, managing to keep it
So this year is going to be a ticketed system. So
right.
We can limit the exact amount of people who can come every day. And ticketing has its benefits that it can spread out bad days, it can fill in weekdays which would normally be quieter. So we're quite happy to go with that.
No, good. And I must have picked you up it wrong earlier. So that the peas, the tatties, and the carrots, you're not growing them yourselves, no?
No. So yes, so we let out the ground for other guys to come in, contractors and people who, because the tatty guys work on massive acreages. They have to for the kit they're dealing with. There's not that many people in the country that grow 50 acres of spuds. It's not economical. So yeah, let out. This year's probably 50 acres or 45 or thereabouts of of potatoes, and then a bit of carrots.
Right. Yeah. And is it normally the same people coming back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they are effectively bidding to use your ground, but if you kind of want to get into a stage where you're working with one person, we're working with one person on the spuds. They look after the ground as well. They work with us because they want to keep the ground as well. We want the ground looked after, so it works in both of our interests to kind of work for each other and do a good job on both sides of the page.
Yeah, it's definitely worthwhile having a long-term tenant that's easier to work with than trying to constantly go into that bidding more and not actually knowing what's coming.
Yeah, you'd maybe end up with another few quid an acre, but for the hassle it could be worth, it's not worth it. No,
absolutely. And we mentioned sunflowers. Well, you did. And I have a quick glance at folks' Instagrams and stuff like that before I sort of interview them. And I see tulips as well. Is there other flowers you are growing?
Yeah, so off the back of the sunflowers, my mum wanted to do a patch of tulips just as a kind of pick your own flowers. So put them in this year it was kind of a bit of a proof of concept. Put them in the ground and see what happens. And yeah, it's been fairly successful. If we were to do it again, we'll do it on a much bigger scale. And we've learned quite a lot this year in figuring out how to do it. But yeah, a bigger scale. Because all these kind of things, the sunflowers, the tulips, it's a very like visual thing, and it spreads like wildfire on Instagram and things like that. The sunflowers specifically, but yeah, it's a visual thing. So the bigger and the grander it is, the better the visual is, the better the ability for that picture to spread. Because that's what happened with the sunflowers. There was a guy came out with a drone, and he came up to me and he asked, "Can I take a drone picture?" I was like, "Yeah, fine, as long as we can use the images." But it turns out he had quite a few followers on Facebook, and he was big in Perthshire. He put this picture up, and it just like that, just overnight, it ended up in like 7 different newspapers. STV turned up for an interview. I was like, I'm not cut out for this.
You spend your life on camera. Of course you're cut out for it.
Not at that stage. I'd only been doing it for a couple of months.
So you've sort of came back, and so am I right in saying that would be the end of 2019 you'd have come back?
2019, yeah. So it was when we first went into like a lockdown, that's when I ended up full time. But yeah, full time on the farm.
We must have been at uni at the exact same time. I went 2014, finished 2019.
What uni were you at?
Well, no, I didn't do mechanical engineering. I did agriculture, and then
whereabouts?
Masters in food security and air, and then Glasgow.
Okay. Yeah.
I think you were Edinburgh.
Heriot what? Fake Edinburgh.
Well, Heriot was like the home engineering, isn't it? Really?
It's meant to be good for engineering.
Yeah, it's where most folk go. I'm just trying to work out if you were there. Engineering. Did you know someone called John Murchie?
Nope.
No, I think no, because he'd be the year above me, and I don't even know if it was mechanical. I think it was mechanical engineering. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so coming out, so it's all sort of happened in 2 years. So it'll be quite. You've already sort of implemented these changes. There've been quite a lot of quick changes since you started. But by the sounds of it, your family were pretty advanced anyway, changing things every year. So is there any plans for the coming years like that? Not that you have to tell us your secret.
I hope you've kicked your feet up and got comfy and enjoying another fantastic episode of the R2Kast with another really interesting guest. I would just like to quickly take another second to plug the sponsors of the show today, the Scottish Farmer, and I would strongly advise you to go out and pick one up this week and see even more of the fantastic people that are in our industry.
There's always things on the go, and there's no lack of ideas and things you can do. It's just like the finding the time to do these ideas and do these things. The ideas isn't an issue. It's the infrastructure behind doing it all, and because it is. Well, Mum, my dad, and my brother, they run the shop, and then me and my dad on the farm. And it is we have different managers of different sections in the shop and stuff, but the kind of development and ideas still or just comes from I've only been here 2 years, so it just comes from us four, and it's like which bit do we do, which bit do we go for? So yeah, there's no lack of things to do, and we find that if you just do something and do it well enough, it will be a success. There's a list of things we could do, but yeah, getting the time and the know-how to do these things as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I guess, the farms there, cattle, arable, shops there, brothers involved with that. You've created your own diversification. Now, some people see it as a diversification. Some people are still to sort of adopt it as that. But you're, as we mentioned earlier, a YouTuber. Did that start the second you got home? What made you start that?
No, so it didn't start the second I got home. So that's like two and a bit years I've been home now, and I've been doing YouTube about a year and a month or something like that. So it was after about a year. And why did I start? I've always used YouTube myself, and I don't really watch normal television, as you call it. Watch sports. Yes, it's not. Everyone can agree. There's not much going on TV these days. So yeah, I've watched quite a lot of YouTube. I've always considered it, but the kind of stereotype of YouTube is like a high octane, high energy person delivering this video, and it was like, I'm a dour Scotsman. Traditional dour Scotsman, So I never really considered doing it. But then it was again, it was Ollie Harrison who did the sunflowers as well. I saw he was doing it as a daily video. This is what's going on the farm. No thrills, no singing and dancing. That's what he was doing, and it was doing well. And I was like, well, I could do that. I hadn't actually, by this point, I'd never heard of Cammy from Sheep Game or many other farming YouTubers. I'd heard of Tom Pemberton. And so I was like, oh, that concept works. And then I was like, right, just do it. So I do five a week, Sunday to Thursday videos. And it's just my day. It's over the year, it's got more like, not thrills and whatnot, but more, I don't know how you'd word that, but it's developed over the years. It's got better, in my opinion. And so yeah, that's kind of how it started and why I do it. And it's kind of my own thing as well, because I come home to the business where there's the arable farm, there's the shop, and mum, dad, and my brother run all that, and kind of at the same time wanted to have a wee bit of my own thing as well, that I can do or kind of spend my time on as well.
5 a week's intense. That's
yeah.
What? I did check just to see how many there was, and you said you've been doing it just about a year and a month there. It's 289 videos are up, and I was thinking, the reason I thought you must have started the second you came back was I was like 289 videos, 140 a year. That makes sense. 2 a week. 5's a lot. And how do you put a lot of editing into that, or is it like you say, sort of just getting the story in?
Yeah, so I probably do. I do quite a bit of. So I'd say when I come in at the end of the day, I've got about an hour's worth of footage, thereabouts. But I'd say, so I film with my phone, and I've got a wee GoPro on a magnet. 80% of the filming is done on my phone, 20% is on my GoPro. A GoPro I just use when I want to plonk it somewhere to watch me doing something, or chuck it on the sprayer to see what's happening there. I just put it on something. And then this is when I'm filming myself or pointing it at something else. So at the end of the day, I've probably got an hour's worth of footage. 25 minutes is me speaking to the camera. So I have to watch all of that to chop it all up and get it in a video. And the other 40 minutes is like long time lapses, bits and bobs that can easily just be chopped up. So I'd say during the day of actual filming, it'll take me in the day half an hour maybe to do the actual footage, and then to edit it all. I've got one to do after this, so it'll probably take me just over an hour to get it all edited and export it, and then uploading it. YouTube, you can do like a template description and stuff like that. So upload it on YouTube, and then the next day, which will be tomorrow, for example, for today's video, at some point during the day, I'll spend 5 minutes making a thumbnail and a title. So total time to make a video in a day, 2 and a bit hours. That was a bit of a long-winded
it's not. It's interesting.
Explanation.
And I think a lot of folk don't get that. You've sort of just said there, you're not putting thousands into it, but you're still putting 2 and a bit hours. Yeah, like that's people think, oh, it's just YouTube. Like, it's just a way to chuck videos up, make money. But I mean, Cammy talks about it quite often. He puts like 14, 15 hours into some edits. Like, it's insane.
Because the guys who are doing less a week have got the time to put in more. But I think I've got it to the stage where I'm spending the right amount of time to make the video good. Like I feel like my videos are up to the scratch of the likes of the big guys on YouTube in terms of the editing. I feel like they are there. It's progressed a lot over the year. I mean, doing 280 odd videos or whatever it is, you do pick it up fairly quickly. So, and it is a young, I don't know how it sounds a bit odd, but a young man's game, in that technology is easier to, or not easier to use, but we've grown up using it, so we're proficient in using it, and we're quicker at using it than some of the older generation. So that helps as well.
Is it Premiere Pro you use?
No, I just use iMovie.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I've considered getting it, but because I'm doing five a week, I'm never going to be spending 10 hours editing a video.
The reason I ask is that I use an app called LumaFusion, and I just found it easier than iMovie, and it's iOS based. It's £28 once. The reason I'm so reluctant to get Premiere Pro, because I do a bit of filming, not just for this stuff, I do it for work as well. And I kind of want to get Premiere Pro because I'm doing quite a bit of 360 footage. But it's like 20 odd quid a month. I hate subscriptions. It's really annoying. I just want to pay for this once and it's done. But yeah, it's did you think it would get to where it is at the minute so quickly?
Did it? Yeah, yes and no. Like the first few videos or whatever to get to 1,000, you're like, oh, how long is it going to take me? I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there.
How long did that take you? Sorry,
to get to 1,000. Probably like 3 months, maybe.
That's pretty quick. Just I think for reference, I believe Cammy was 14 months.
Yeah, he messaged me after I said I put a post up on Instagram saying I've done it. That's me a year on YouTube, and whatever. And he was like, yeah, no. What did I say? I can't remember. Maybe I put up like I'm up at 6,000 or whatever I am, and he replied, oh, it took me 14 months to get to 1,000. But at the same time, he wasn't posting.
Yeah, I know that's
as much as I was. So it is a game where volume increases. Time and volume equate to subscriptions. So I'm doing the volume anyway.
Yeah, and consistency is massive as well. So you film video today, or videos for the video, and that will go out tomorrow. Is that right? And do you have like a time goes out, or do you just put them up when you're ready tomorrow?
For a while, 4 o'clock every day, apart from Sunday I'd do it in the morning, because it's the work day, weekday, Monday to Friday, so people after 4 or 5 o'clock are on the phones more, and on Sunday they're obviously all day. But just yesterday's video and today's video, I'd left it till like 6 o'clock today, just to try it and try different things and see what response you get from different. Because you can read up on it and you can watch videos on this is the best time, this is the best time. It's like, that'll probably work to an extent, but my audience is, I don't know exactly, but maybe 50% are in agriculture. So it's not a demographic that is the same as just the whole general public. If you assume 50% of my demographic are farmers or in agriculture, then you can kind of say, okay, they're not, or they're working different hours to the average.
Yeah, and it would be fair to assume most won't stop at 4. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then again, you get like, it doesn't matter. Like you upload it, and I get a picture on Instagram of someone in their tractor drilling, and they've got their phone sat up there watching it. So it's like they don't have to not be working as well.
And it's the whole timing thing interests me because of what my job is. You know, it is a sort of 9 to 5 job. You know, yes, there's times where it's lenient for sure, but for the most part, it's 9 to 5. And I'm not like on the farm when I can be, you know, mucking about my phone or whatever.
Yeah.
As much of my colleagues would say that's all I do. But I've always sort of scheduled posts, and that's on Facebook and Instagram. Every single weekday they go out at 8 o'clock. All my podcasts go out Friday at 7 o'clock. And it's been like 2 years of that. I've not missed one weekday post on Facebook and Instagram. You know, like that's the sort of way I've done it. And I've played with different times. And interestingly enough, one of the best ones was 7:30 in the morning. Now, I don't know if that was, and now that's not videos, that's not long form content, that's posts, yeah? So like 30 seconds. I don't know if that's people going into work or whatever, but they always did quite well. I think the best I have found is
all right, so all of them at 7:30 did quite well.
Yeah.
Right.
In the morning, that is, you know,
yeah.
Whether that's hitting the commute hours or what, I don't know. But some people say it's utter nonsense, and there's probably truth to that as well. You know, it's just quite interesting to see what folks' opinions on when they go out are.
It's a tricky. I'm reluctant to just chuck a video at lunchtime because then it probably won't do as well.
Yeah,
I probably should just trial different times of the day and figure out what works best. But surely it's got to be like evening, because you'll know yourself that the algorithms are basically, they want the best content in front of the viewer because they want the viewer to be happy and continue on their app, whether it's YouTube, whether it's TikTok, whether it's whatever. So we're just trying to tailor our video to exactly what the viewer wants, because that's what YouTube are trying to find as well. So it's a minefield. It's not that easy.
No, absolutely. And would you say YouTube's a business?
Yeah, it's got to be. Well, it's like, would half of the 40 odd. How many podcasts have you done so far?
This will be 45. I've filmed 50.
So, and how many of them are quite social media based?
Oh God, I find most people on Instagram. I would say 40. Probably.
40, right. So
I try to have a following with the person, so it does okay.
Yeah.
You're
doing it. These are social media based
for sure
videos, so it makes sense. So of those people, without a financial return from what they're doing, of those 40, how many do you think would still do it to the exact same extent they're doing it right now?
I mean, it would be fair to assume that a lot of them aren't making money. I've had Funky Farmer, I've had Cammy Wilson, yourself, Louise Crowley's big on Instagram, Carol Devaney, who's making money off apparel itself instead of the sort of... But I would still assume the majority aren't yet making money, but have the intention to reach that stage.
Yeah, so
it's for money. Yeah, it's going to be, whether that's self-promotion, like myself, I started this and I got a job as a lecturer. You know, there's different ways of making money through it. Yeah,
so if there's a drive to have a financial return from what it has to be a form of business. I mean, some of these people, they'll probably argue the fact that, yes, they would continue doing it if there was zero financial return in any way, shape or form. But to what extent they would continue doing everything they're doing.
I would disagree to a point. No, I mean,
Right.
disagree. No, agree with what you're saying,
Yeah.
and disagree to what they're saying, because I think I have met a few folk that said that. Now, I started R2K in April 2020, and it made me the odd £100 to BBC Social, but nothing until basically February, when it started making money. But I knew one day it was going to. I didn't do it. I really enjoyed doing it, don't get me wrong, but the intention was to monetize it at one point. I got interviewed by the Scottish Farmer in like 2 months after it started, saying the next step is monetization. But I knew with what I was doing, it wasn't YouTube videos, it wasn't that sort of content, that it was a long way to get there. And I was lucky enough to have another job that was fine. So yeah, I think the majority of us are doing it to gain something, whether that's money or exposure.
Yeah, I agree with that as well, because for the amount of time I'm putting into it, it's right now at the moment it's not worth the time I'm putting into it. So I'm still at that stage, but yeah, I'm at that point where I can see it. It might be.
I would say you're at that stage that you're a shout out from a big YouTuber away from that jump. Now, purely because I've been sort of mates with Cammy for a while, and I've sort of followed his, and I like numbers and I like analytics and stuff like that. He was at 8,000 and Sandy Brock shouted him out, and I think it was like 3 days he was at 14,000. You know, like that. That's and you're almost 8,000. You what 6'8", 6'9", something like that.
Yeah, 6'7" and a bit, I think.
Yeah. So like you're near that. You're over 5,000, which is a big thing. I always think someone just needs to say your name, whether it's Ollie's Farm, like we're saying earlier, or whoever.
I've had those things. They do benefit. I had Cammy out at the farm.
That's right.
6 months ago. So I've had him. Ollie's been at the farm as well. So the bits and bobs, they do help. You see the spike in the subscribers, and then so yeah, those things do help. But as long as your content is the people that come over, you want to get them to see it and keep wanting to watch it as well. So Cammy and the Hoof GP, specifically Scotland, they do kind of hook you, and you are kind of like, this is good. Yeah, so and trying it. On you go.
No, sorry, finish what you were going to say.
No, I'm just saying, I'm trying to somewhat emulate that and trying to get people to click on it and want to keep watching it.
Yeah, I mean, Hoof GP is like he's something else. Like, I mean, he's almost not in the farming side. He's more in the ASMR side. Yeah, like I mean, what's he at 1.3 or something like that now?
He's playing a different game to the rest of us, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason he drives a Lamborghini. You know, like,
a McLaren.
yeah, exactly. It's insane. Like,
has he got a Lamborghini as well?
I thought it was a Lamborghini he had. Here, maybe I'm wrong.
But the red one.
It's orange, is it not? Has he got two?
Ready orange. Ready orange. Yeah.
Oh shit! 1.5 million. He's on 1.5 million.
Yeah, this is like like pimple poppers, isn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly that. Yeah, and to be honest, I don't like it because I'm not good with that stuff. But you
do notice when you go you don't. I don't watch Hoof GP's every single video, but when you do go on the video, you watch it all.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, definitely.
It hooks you, and you're in for all of it. You're not just like a lot of the YouTube videos you watch. You're in, you watch a bit, you skip a bit, done, next. Whereas him, you're in, you watch it all, and you're out. And that ability to retain all those people for that length of time is definitely the reason why he's got to where he is.
I would like to see his retention on videos. You know, like how many minutes are people watching? It'd be really interesting. But like, just for reference, I interviewed Graham in October 2020. Now, that wasn't a podcast. It was, I did 26 interviews where I spoke to people and wrote a story about them. Heavily boring for everyone reading it, but really cool sort of idea, and it's where the podcast sort of came from. But I spoke to Graham, and I remember speaking to him on the phone on the Thursday, and he was at 309k. And when I released it on the Monday morning at 7:30, he was at 317. you know, like I remember thinking that was insane, but now looking back, he's built on, he's 1.2 million on top of that. Like he has,
the growth seems to be just like different. Once you, if you manage to keep going, it just, the growth, it just seems to be some form of exponential. It's like, oh, Cam the other day put out 50k, and I checked the other day or yesterday, he was at 50. He's just about at 56 or something. So he's gained my amount of subscribers last week.
Yeah, so he's at 56. Yeah, you're right. I don't know what it is. It's interesting as to why it happens, but and you're with your sort of output, how much you're thrown out. It's going to happen. You can just see it. It's good.
Oh, hope so. Keep subscribing. Go and subscribe. Subscribe to Crawford's Farm.
Exactly. He'll be chasing the Hoof GP soon enough. Yeah.
Oh no, that's not happening.
He's the biggest farming YouTuber in the world. It's quite a good aspiration.
Different gravy.
Did you see what happened to poor Craig with a pickup last week?
I've not seen it, but I heard him mention he rolled it.
Yeah, like he rolled that and the
crush.
Joke, yeah, the crush, yeah.
Is there pictures of it?
I don't know if it's. Well, I think he went live on Instagram or something to show it, but there's a video on Facebook that he put up 3 or 4 days ago, and it just like a ramp out of the shed, and it's not got a side. You wouldn't be able to see it. I know exactly what that would have looked like from the pickup. You see Craig run out like, but you know, always fine. That's what matters. But no, you mentioned TikTok at one point, Crawford. We spoke off camera about that, and you said you've delved into TikTok in the last couple of weeks. See a future there as well.
I have delved into TikTok, and my opinions are what are my opinions on TikTok? I started uploading videos on TikTok, but I don't like the app, and it's kind of contradictory because I'm uploading videos on it, but I try not to use it because I don't like it. I think the short form videos, really, really short, and it's just given like people who watch it a boost of dopamine. And I can see it myself, when you watch short form videos, you just like your ability to focus and your retention, it just goes out the window, and it's like flick, 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 flick. And if I had to choose between going back like 20 years before the internet existed or continuing right now, and I'm trying to build a business on social media, I'd go back 20 years, 100%.
Would you?
Yeah. I think the ability to focus is, I'm bad myself at being able to focus, and I can see it all the time getting worse and worse. And it's hard to stop yourself. And TikTok's just increased that tenfold because it's completely different. It's a new platform, short videos, because YouTube's always been there, and it's been shorter than the normal media, which has been like a half an hour TV show or an hour long TV program. YouTube's now, it was 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and now TikTok's 7 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like it, but I upload videos on it. So it's a bit of a catch-22.
Were you a fan of Vine when you say 7 seconds?
No, I never really knew about it or knew that. I'd heard about it, but I'd never been on the app or used it.
There's a shockingly embarrassing account under my name on Vine out there somewhere with about 8 videos on it, all of which, like, the thought that went into them must have been 0. Like, I mean, they are dreadful. But yeah, it's right. And it's interesting you say if you get the opportunity to go 20 years back, you would. Because it's weird. We're so used to it. I mean, I look on my desk right now and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screens. That's pretty unnatural, really. It's an interesting one. But look, it's been great to sort of go back on the last year, look at what you've done, look at what the farm is, look at what's happening with YouTube as well. But we have 2 questions we ask every person that's on the R2Kast. And if you've watched the end of the last 2 that you did watch, you'll know them. First off, it's where do you see yourself in 5 years? And second, if you had any tips for folk coming into industry. Now, it'd be quite cool to hear you talk about farming and and YouTube if you want, what would they be?
Right. So the first one, 5 years time. Just based on me not knowing if I was going to uni and not knowing if I'm doing this, and then coming back and not knowing if I'm going to be a farmer or get a job. I don't have a plan. I've never had a plan. I'm not good at plans. Don't use a calendar. Don't use anything like that. So I don't have a plan. As long as I'm enjoying what I'm doing, that's good enough.
Sure.
So yeah, no plan. And then tips. Farming's not the easiest thing to get into if you're not in it already. And I've never had to try and get into it, so it's hard to kind of base an opinion on that and share it. But get involved in any form of farming and speak to people, and just ask people, have you got any work for me, or you know anyone who could help me out with a job? Or as long as if you're willing to work and do stuff and get your hands dirty, it doesn't really matter what you're doing. As long as you can stick at it and do a good job, you can do whatever you want. And then in YouTube side of things, just probably do it. Because I sat and I thought, I don't know, will I do it? And then after you've done 10 videos, it's like you just get into it, and it becomes way more natural than it first is. What is it? The variety is spice of life. So yeah, it's a bit of variety. Get into it, and away you go.
No, I think that's a really good point. And I'm not vlogging at all, but I'm filming a lot for work and for whatever. The biggest two challenges that I found starting filming was, first, speaking on camera yourself, and the second,
it's horrible.
That it's weird, but now I almost feel weird not doing it. Like, I'm so used to doing it. But the second one, and I find this the hardest, the first time you have to do it, is getting someone else on camera. Asking them to do that, I'm like, shit, what if they don't want to? This is really awkward.
I'm still not. I still don't. I'm not there yet at that. Nah, I'm still. I know what you mean. It's you still feel like a bit of a plonker holding a camera out here. Like, look at me, I'm filming myself. But the people who I'm standing in front of thinking I want to get you in the video, they know I make videos. They know I do that, and like, there's no harm to it. So I should probably just get on with it. But yeah, I know what you mean. No,
it's a surreal one, that it really is. But yeah, no, been great to chat. It's good to meet other folk at my age, actually. I meet a lot of folk through all this stuff, and a lot of people that sort of have followings and stuff are normally a bit older than us. Not loads older, but a bit older. So it's quite fun to meet someone that's 25 as well, and just sort of see the transition of how it's happened. And to be honest, you and I have done a quite similar from uni, and then sort of moving into different jobs, but still in the same industry. So it's been really cool to do. So
where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh God, no one's ever done this. What is 30-year-old Wallace doing? Oh, here, I'd love to still be lecturing.
30? Oh, gee, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I know, it's
30.
tough, that, isn't it? What, married? I don't know. Married? Nah, that's way too advanced. Mum and Dad, if you're listening, I'm not planning it. Don't worry. I think my goal has been for some time now, since I started the job and since I was doing this, was to be teaching, because it's a job made for me. Like, I just love it. To be teaching, but it not to be my primary income source. I think that's the goal. If I can do that, great. I want to get into property. I want this to make a bit of money. So yeah, I think that would be the 5 year goal.
Oh, well, good luck with that. We'll cross paths again, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm quite certain. Well, you said you'd be at Highland, didn't you? So.
Yeah, I've not looked at getting a ticket or anything, but yeah, that's the plan.
No, it's quite tricky. You've got to make sure it's all ordered and stuff. It's a bit confusing.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, you need to order it and stuff. There's been loads of stick in the Scottish Farmer. This is it. No, is this
no, the Scottish
Farmer?
You're absolutely allowed to say that. It's the Scottish
Farmer.
There's
been a lot of stick thrown out at the Highland show about having to make it ticketed. But
I would agree with that. Though. That's not
you think that. You think it shouldn't be?
Well, I agree with the stick, and the reason for that is, right,
mm-hmm.
you said not long ago, we are sort of made for this tech and stuff like that, yeah?
Yeah.
The,
Okay.
the difficulty is there's a lot of people out there that are not. A lot of people.
True, but the majority of those people who aren't techie, they've got a son or a daughter or someone who is, and it's just to book a ticket. It's going to benefit the show because the show will probably earn more income in terms of more income. They'll be able to sell more tickets on the Thursday and Friday than they normally do if the Saturday and Sunday are sold out. So there's possibilities for them to get more money, and the show is all the money goes into the pot and it's spent on the show. So it benefits the show that way as well. So there's two ways to look at it, but I'm on the side of get ticketed.
I see what you're saying, and being ticketed in my head makes more sense. But there should be an easier way to do it for folk that can't just go online and do it. Because from what I understand, you can't phone up. It's not a...
Yeah.
No,
maybe I agree with that then. If they could add in like some form of just be able to... Because, a lot of these guys who are not that techie and not interested in it, they can jump on the phone and they should be able to do that, to be fair.
Yeah.
If they had the phone and online ticketing, there shouldn't be any complaints.
I would completely be with you on that one. I bought a membership. I buy a membership every year, and I'm like, why don't I buy a lifetime? why do I do this every single year and never actually buy the full one? But no, it's been great to chat. Next week, guys, for those of you listening, we have Gemma Lane, the agri-social scientist, coming on. Gemma did a master's in environmental science. Oh, two people with masters in a row. Talking of, I know, what a collegiate group the R2Kast is. We talked food security, we talked labelling in supermarkets. Good episode. And I hope you look forward to that one. Hope you've enjoyed Crawford today. Hope you've enjoyed yourself, Crawford. Coming on.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on, and you're doing well. Keep going.
No, thank you, and very much the same back to yourself. And for those of you listening, we shall see you in a week's time. See you later on.
See you later.
Well, that's it. Another R2Kast finished. Another agricultural mind opened up. And I would just like to say that getting these guests on board, it does take time, and it always has done. But I've now went weekly, and with that comes even more time required. And I would just like to finally thank once more the Scottish Farmer for sponsoring the show and making that much more possible. Please be sure to get in touch if you've any ideas of people you'd like to see on the podcast, or maybe ideas you have for me presenting better, because I definitely do require that. See you in the next one.